Has Trump just cornered Europe? With a move no one saw coming, Donald Trump has launched his boldest immigration offensive yet, and the shockwaves are already hitting Europe. While the German Bundestag has just passed the strictest migration law in the country's history, the question arises, is the EU quietly following Trump's example? It has barely been a week, and Trump is already implementing measures that would take others months or even years. While European politicians get stuck in endless debates, Trump charges forward, taking immediate action to fix what he calls a total disaster. In a breathtaking executive order, Trump directed the U.S. military and the Department of Homeland Security to prepare a facility in Guantanamo Bay to detain 30,000 illegal migrants, an unprecedented move in modern U.S. history. The order is clear, and the message even clearer. Mass immigration will no longer be tolerated. These are the worst criminal illegal aliens who pose a direct threat to the American people, Trump declared. Some of them are so dangerous that even their own countries refuse to take them back. The outcry from left-wing politicians and the media was swift, but Trump remained unfazed. His administration is not interested in endless discussions. It is about action. And while the world watches, one country in particular is feeling the pressure: Germany. For years, Berlin ignored the warning signs, allowing mass immigration to escalate while crime, social unrest, and even deadly terrorist attacks increased. But after two horrific attacks in recent months and an increasingly furious electorate, Germany was forced to react. The shock of Trump's decision had barely settled when Germany made a dramatic move of its own. In a razor-thin 348 to 345 vote, the Bundestag passed strict new immigration measures, a step that shook Germany's political establishment to its core. At the center of this political earthquake, Alice Weidel. Just hours after Trump's order, Weidel publicly praised him, calling his plan a necessary step toward restoring sovereignty. But she didn't stop there. She returned to Germany and led the Bundestag debate, where her party, the AfD, supported the CDU's proposal, even though the proposal's justification directly condemned the AfD. As the dust settled, Weidel summed it up in just 3 words: a historic day. Germany had just taken a step it had sworn never to take. It was following Trump's lead. Could Trump's hardline become the EU's new model? Trump's harshest criticisms of German immigration policy, once dismissed as fear-mongering, now seem prophetic. Back in 2018, Trump embarrassed Germany at the UN General Assembly. Europe is being overrun. You are letting in millions of people who do not share your values, and it will destroy your culture. This is not immigration. This is an occupation. At the time, Merkel and her allies laughed. Today, Germany is desperately trying to implement the very measures Trump advocated years ago. Alice Weidel has fully endorsed Trump's latest move, calling it a necessary measure to protect national sovereignty. Meanwhile, CDU leader Friedrich Merz, who once tried to distance himself from Trump, is now strategically shifting to the right. He is pushing for tougher immigration controls, though he carefully avoids direct comparisons to Trump. The truth is undeniable. Trump is no longer just shaping the agenda in the US. His policies are influencing the global immigration debate, and Europe may have no choice but to follow his lead. Europe at a crossroads. Trump's decisive actions have only increased the pressure on EU leaders. The migration crisis has moved beyond political debate. It is now the central issue that could determine the European Union's future. But Brussels is paralyzed, torn between ideology and reality, unable to take a clear stance. The EU faces 3 options: stay the course, continue with open borders, mass immigration, and lenient policies. But this would mean ignoring growing public anger and fueling the rise of nationalist movements. Can the EU really afford to keep its eyes closed? The rapid rise of populist parties suggests this path leads to a dead end. Follow Trump's example. Implement military-backed border enforcement, mass deportations, and strict immigration laws. But such a drastic shift would be a complete reversal of current EU policies and would face fierce resistance from political elites, international organizations, and the media. A tactical shift, a calculated adjustment where central politicians adopt just enough right-wing policies to appease the public while maintaining their power. This is exactly what Friedrich Merz is attempting in Germany. But will voters accept half measures, or will they demand real change from leaders like Alice Weidel and Viktor Orban? One thing is certain: the EU can no longer afford to remain passive. Migration is no longer just a political issue. It is the defining battle that could determine Europe's fate. The next decision will reveal whether Brussels can maintain control or if the nationalist wave will reshape the continent for good. Trump has completely transformed the debate. What once seemed unthinkable is now becoming the new normal, not just in the US, but in Europe as well. His uncompromising approach has shattered decades of political inertia, proving that bold action can redefine the rules of the game. The Bundestag vote is proof that even the most liberal governments are being forced to adapt. The so-called firewall against the right has collapsed, and now even establishment politicians are shifting their stance. Alice Weidel celebrates. Friedrich Merz adjusts, and the EU watches nervously. Brussels knows this isn't just a German issue, it's a warning sign for the entire continent. The question remains, will Europe finally wake up and take decisive action, or will it cling to failed policies until it's too late? The longer the EU hesitates, the stronger the nationalist wave will become. Weidel and Orban are gaining momentum, and voters are growing impatient. If Germany can no longer resist the Trump effect, how long before the rest of Europe follows? One thing is certain, Trump has left Germany and the EU with no choice. The world is changing, and immigration policy is now at the center of a geopolitical shift. The only question left is, will Europe follow his lead before it's too late?